Hmm. I sure hope this works. This is my first live stream in 6 years, so I have no idea how it's gonna go. But I am praying that everything works the way I intended. And I'm not actually gonna start until I see it pop up on my phone. And I'm not actually gonna start until I see it pop up on my phone. Dude, my stream gonna echo forever. Good. Go. Much better. Hello everyone. Welcome to my Let's Play. Today we're gonna beat the Ender Dragon. No, this is going to be a music breakdown stream of my most recent track called "Killing Me Faster," which hopefully you've all listened to by now because it just came out like 20 minutes ago. But if you haven't, you should listen to it really fast while I'm giving this explanation because it's not really that important. But for those who have already listened, I'm going to tell you a bit about it. I have chat open on my phone with my jank streamer set up here, so hopefully I'll be able to read everything people are saying, but if I do not see something that is typed, feel free to send it like 100 times and eventually I'll look at it. But yes, so this song was originally written for Audio Secret Santa, which is an annual event that I do every year. I've done it for like 9 years. Genuinely, I think 9 years. Or this was my 9th year, I should say. I started in 2017. Super duper fun. I will keep doing it as long as it exists as an event. And if you are a musician watching, you have any interest in writing music around like the holiday time, definitely I highly recommend it. It's super, super fun. But the way it works is similar to regular Secret Santa, which is to say you submit a request for a type of music that you would like someone else to make for you, and then you receive a request that you need to fulfill. And so my request this year was from a musician named Katari, who asked for club-style EDM that is emotional. So something that makes you feel a strong emotion, but also makes you kind of want to throw it back. And I was like, yeah, I can do that. I knew from the beginning that I really wanted to do something. I really wanted to do something sort of like situationship core slash like chronically online brain rot as like a Twitter power user myself. This was like a I don't know if I could call it a topic, but sort of an aesthetic, like a cultural aesthetic that appealed to me. I wanted to tackle it from two different directions, which is to say, I wanted to have part of the song be very like silly, almost like manic excitement, like all over the place, like goofy, self-referential, kind of ADHD in audio form, and then the ending. I should say that initial section. I wanted to take a bunch of inspiration from some of my favorite like hyperpop slash rock artists, which are, I guess, in the order of the amount that they inspired the song from most to least, it would probably be Subi Club, and then Gabby Start, Sophie, and Underscores. I would say are the main four. So shout out to those people. If you're watching this, you probably know at least some of those four, and if there's any names you don't recognize, you should definitely listen to them. They're really awesome. And then I wanted to have the outro that took it from a completely different perspective, which is to say, like, very sort of melancholic and earnestly, like, self-reflective. It's very dramatic, so I suppose there is still, like, a level of irony to it. But, for the most part, I wanted it to be, like, taking itself seriously. I had been really into The Great Gatsby for a little bit, so that made its way prominently into this song. And then on top of that, the outro, the concept for this outro was actually inspired by one of my favorite songs growing up, which is Mr. Blue Sky by Electric Light Orchestra, which I imagine many of you have heard, but if you haven't, it's truly a timeless classic, and you should definitely listen to it right now, because it's the best. But yeah, with all that said, here's the project file. We're looking at it right now. It's big. This is the first project that I have made on my brand new like desktop computer. For pretty much the whole time that I produced music, I did it on a an old MacBook Pro, which at the time that I bought it was very powerful, but in the 6 years that have elapsed, it has stopped becoming so powerful. So by the end, it couldn't really do all that much, and I got sick of it, so I got this computer, and it allows me to do crazy things like have 184 tracks. So life is really good. I am going to format this breakdown by going through the song section by section, sort of playing isolated parts, talking about any fun facts that occurred. I've intentionally done a display capture instead of a window capture here, so I can open up some of the plugin and synth patches. So this is going to be like a pretty like nerdy breakdown, like music, like on a sort of technical level. Potentially, I guess, if you're here and you don't really care about music production. So, well, I don't know why you would be if you don't, but I'm just warning you in case you somehow stumbled in here by accident in a drunken stupor on a random Wednesday night, in which case, welcome. But yeah, with all that said, I'm gonna start playing, and I'll talk about whatever comes to mind after the first section. I'll read chat, and we can keep going like that. All right, let's get started. Oh, my instruments haven't loaded. Let's try that one again. I didn't know you were recording. Could you send it to me after? I'll delete it in the morning. It's 'cause I was overthinking and afraid of what I'd let slip if I didn't keep on drinking. Think about me. All right, let's take a quick look at this part. This is pretty self-explanatory. But I should say, first of all, this was actually my first time certainly playing guitar in any piece of music that I've released, which was very exciting and difficult. But I learned to work with it. I actually might break out my guitar in a little bit and play the main riff, which I still play a little bit from the many hours that I practiced. But it's in a weird tuning, which I'll demonstrate later. But that was exciting. This is also my first time singing a major release. Although I have actually done, I mean, unless you count like the 5 words that I sang in the Clouds giveaway, I've sang some background vocals and some random stuff I've done. I actually did like, my voice is in like Hoshi Ninate from Starlight Revolver, which the real fans will know I also worked on. So my voice can be heard in my music, but this is the first time I'm singing lead vocals, so that was also really hard. I did my best. So let's take a look at the guitar quickly, just so you can see what I did. And that's the vocals, that's not the guitar. Guitar is down here somewhere. It's a big project file. Okay, here we go. So I always get a lot of questions about how I do guitar stuff, like in general. It's typically in reference to MIDI, but I'm bringing this up anyway because hopefully this will answer some questions about how I process my instruments and stuff. I'm a heavy Neural DSP amp simulator user. I almost always use, what's it called? Nolly, Archetype Nolly for most of my J-Rock related stuff. But sometimes I will break out this other one, which is Corey Wong. Also really good. I like it because you can totally get a very distorted sound, and it gets even more distorted in the next section. But it also it doesn't get the like, hard rock or metal sound that I tend to associate with the Nolly amps. So I think it is better in this context. Now you know, if you ask me ever again what amps I use in my music, I will send a missile to your house. So consider yourself warned. It's the only time I'm talking about this. Yes, and then beyond that, it's just a pretty standard setup. I'm EQing the direct input, and after that, I have a noise gate, OTT, channel EQ, and a Haas effect because I'm too lazy to double track. Yeah, and then the other thing that I want to point out, more just because it's a fun fact, I think the drums are actually pretty like self-explanatory, certainly in this section. It's just MIDI. Yeah, nothing crazy. There's also a clock, I guess, because it's like time themed. It's like This, the song's about doing stuff faster, like killing me faster. Yeah. Incidentally, I think that bit crushed hi-hat was totally, this is an underscores technique, so I'm really just like passing the buck along here. I think I even learned this in one of her live streams, but in a lot of the wall socket tracks, she has like super like distressed audio processing percussion, especially on cymbals or hi-hats, which is nice because it gets a really like gritty and it sort of like drags out the sound, like it has a longer sustain. So I do that sometimes. And then I have all of these glitches here, which are from Codley Sample Server, Sample Pack 7, my goat. I use this sample pack all the time and it's free. Guys, you should totally tap in. I've contributed some samples to that too. Codley Sample Pack mentioned. But these glitches are the same ones that I used in the rest, but I have to chop them up manually every time, so rest assured, even when I use a sample, I have to work for it. So it sounds like this. Yeah, awesome. I think that is it for this section. Oh, there's one more thing I should mention, I suppose. I think. Oh yeah, here it is. This is like totally not even audible in the final mix, so I don't know why I added it, but I was like, oh, if I didn't keep on drinking, and then I should have like a cheers, like drinking, like a drinking sound effect. So if you can hear like a glasses, like cheers. Keep on drinking. It's like totally inaudible, but I wanted to add it because it made me happy. Okay, we're about to get into the fake chorus before the real chorus. Let's see if there are any questions. How does one access these samples? Codley in chat can answer that. I actually don't remember. There's a server, but I don't remember where the link to the server is. I don't know. I can investigate this and maybe send a reply tweet or something somewhere so that people know. But yeah, it's just a Discord server. Have I ever had formal education? Yes, I've had a lot of formal education, actually. But I didn't really enjoy most of it. It was often pretty rough, and I would say that a lot, although not all, of the stuff that I learned that is actually relevant to the music that I make nowadays, like online, is pretty much all self-taught. I didn't go to Berkeley or anything, so I had no like pop music instruction or whatever. It was just classical stuff. So, occasionally that type of thing is helpful, but not that often. Are the synth fills all serum? They are not all serum. I think at least some of the patches are massive. And we can take a look at that because there are more of them playing in the next section, which is a great segue into this next section. So perfect. Thank you, Will Stetson. So let's listen to this next part. Perfect. Okay, so I should say, first of all, like intellectually, I wanted to do something sort of interesting with the structure of this song, and particularly I was attached to the idea of like going straight from the verse into the chorus, or what people think is the chorus, but then there's like a real chorus after it, and so it switches in like an unexpected way. So I guess you could consider this a pre-chorus in like a strange way, but the point was sort of to subvert like expectations here, at least to some degree. So let's take a look at the elements. So first of all, we have guitar, which I actually double tracked properly. And it's a similar amp setup, but just with more gain. So it sounds like this. Nice. All right. It's nice to do that little sharp 4 thing. One of my favorites. Okay, we've got this little laser sound here. Not to just go through every single thing individually, but just because, I don't know. This is just a serum patch. It's what I don't even remember what I did. Apparently I had a sine wave and I have some white noise. I probably distorted it. Yeah, there's a tube distortion. The light compressors are not that complicated. And then I have the leads, my favorite. Well, actually, this is more of the lead from the drop section that happens later in the song, which is actually the first thing I made. So you'll see like this sound get reused in other places because like I made that first. So you can hear this playing in the background. So that's nice. This is actually one of the rare pieces of information, or advice I should say, that I got from a classical teacher source that I still use in my pop music, which is that I was advised a long time ago that whenever you are writing something that's a lot of like percussive or short notes, it's almost always a good idea to have something sustaining something. Because that will act as sort of the glue that holds everything else together. It doesn't need to be prominent, and in this case, you really can't hear it in the mix, but I do think it helps a lot in many cases. So this is wisdom that I'm passing along to you. That's typically the right option unless you're trying to do something really specific. Hello, hear me now, my one moderator. I am handsome, intelligent, and interesting, all three of those things. Okay. Then we've got these little lead lines, which I'm a big fan of. And these are my massive patches, so we'll talk about those. Let's see. That's pretty aggressive. I don't know why I did it like that. I guess that was the only way to get it to cut through. But yeah, anyway. This is a preset that I originally made for my tracks with Heartbeat, which was my brief stint as a chorus battle composer back when I was in Japan, 2023. It's quite simple, but it's very versatile and I use it a lot. It's just a... oh, it's a saw. Wait, it's a saw? It's supposed to be a sine wave, but apparently it's a saw. With some various settings tweaked. There's some white noise and tube distortion and whatever, all that stuff. Yes, I'm glad there are Heartbeat fans in chat. Life is good. Yeah, Massive's still really useful even today. I break it out all the time because it's pretty CPU light, so compared to Serum. So if I ever need something that's not that complicated using just basic wavetables, that's typically what I'll use. It's just what I grew up using basically, so I'm used to it, but you could use whatever you wanted. And then we can listen to the rest of the synths here. Let's take a look. Yeah, that's pretty nice. I guess, I don't know. I'm gassing myself up. Okay, actually this pluck is like highly important, but it is used more prominently during the actual drop, so we'll get back to that later. But that's one of the things that I actually had to go in sound design. The ARP is pretty simple. It also appears in the drop, but it's just a saw wave, as you can see. I'm not very creative with my wavetable. Saw wave with delay and a reverb filter, which gives it that sort of like, yeah, reverb or comb filter-y sound. And then there's a Haas effect, like everything, because hyperpop takes up a lot of stereo space. Yeah, that's how that works. This interstitial beep that you see here, which was also in the verses, or a variation of what's on the verses, also a massive patch. This is just a sine wave that's distorted, so there's really nothing to speak on here. So I won't do it. And then we have the electric bass, which is, I'll pull it up for you guys because I know you want to know what it is. It is Scarby pre-bass unamped with an archetype Corey Wong J-bass preset, which I maybe tweaked some settings on, I don't remember. And then I ran it through OTT, Supercharger, which is Native Instruments, rest in peace, saturation and distortion plugin, saturation compression, I should say. And then an EQ where I do this psychopath high-end boost. So if you ever ask me what bass I use, Also, guy missile to your house. I'm explaining it now, never again. And then that is layered with this mid bass. Let's listen to the electric bass by itself. Okay, sounds kind of bad, but you know, in the mix, it's fine. And then we also have this serum patch, which is kind of carrying most of the weight, low key. And again, super simple. It's just like a mega super saw with, again, some distortion. You're seeing a bit of a pattern here, a low pass, supercharger, OTT, EQ. Supercharger is like my most spammed like effect. Like I just put it everywhere, maybe even more so than OTT. It's really useful. And then I have the drums, which are basically the same as in the verse, so I won't really look at those too much because they are basically the same as what you saw, but just there's a little bit more going on. Oh, and maybe the most fun part of this section. Do I have the vocals unmuted? Let's find out. So on the word, I wear it like a badge. I have this like anime classes sound effect. Like I don't know, that was like a badge sound to me. It made me laugh, so I had to put it in. You actually can hear that one in the mix if you're listening for it, because I made it kind of loud, because I did want it to be audible. You're gonna be hearing a lot about my fun sound effects. It's like that's like basically half of my workflow is finding fun sound effects, especially in this song. So sorry, let's keep going. All right, are there any questions about this section? Again, no question is too specific. I don't really talk that much about my process or the tools that I use or whatever, so I will tell you exactly where I got every sample from, like all the instruments, anything. If you're wondering, this is maybe your only opportunity if that was ever something that you're curious about. In this song, low-key, I'm kind of just spamming Umaru samples along with some other various like free samples / vengeance stuff that I've gotten over the years. Yeah, if anything, I'll keep an eye on chat in case anything comes up. All right, let's listen to the British part. This is my favorite part. All right, perfect. Life is good. So let's take a look at this one by one. So first we have, as you can see, the helpfully named British vocal stack, which was just me shouting a lot and embarrassing myself in my apartment. It's not a very good British accent, needless to say. I mean, if there are any British people in chat, I apologize. This was very inspired by the chants in Sophie's Immaterial, which do have a British accent, and I just sort of wanted to channel that, even though I'm not British. So, is that offensive? It's probably fine, right? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm white. Well, anyone can do a British accent. You don't need to be white to be British. But anyway, let's just listen to these on their own before I say something even more offensive.
I don't have time for the slow burn. Can't we just skip to the part where you leave? I'm picking up signs cause I don't learn. It's killing me. It's killing me.
Okay, that's fine. I didn't really do much tuning or editing on these. Sometimes I would shift them around just a little bit, like in sort of macro sense, like on this screen instead of like going in here, just to make things line up a little bit better. But it's supposed to sound like a crowd, so I didn't do that much. And again, you can see the processing, same as what you're going to see in a lot of tracks on in this project file, which is EQ, OTT, supercharger, and reverb, and then a compressor. And that's it. Okay. Yes, also, this is all me singing, so I hope you like it. I don't know. I tried my best. I'm not really a singer, so, I did what I could. I totally forgot to mention this, but I should have. The reason these are high pitched, you'll notice there's no pitch like editing plugin on here. I sang everything down 20% on Logic's Verispeed function, and then when you speed it back up again, it like gets night chord. Actually did that with the guitar too, not because I cannot play it at tempo, although I mean it would be harder, but I could do it. It was because I actually wanted the sound, like the frequency shifted sound of like nightcore for certain instruments in this track. So I intentionally recorded at a lower speed and then sped it up afterwards. It was only partly a skill issue, but this also is totally out of range for me, so that helped as well. But if you see, if I speed down 20%, it sounds a lot more like me. Let's listen.
I don't have time for the slow burn. Can't we just skip to the part where you leave?
So that's me. That's me right there. But then it becomes this.
I don't have time for the slow burn. Can't we just skip to the part where you leave?
All right, life is good. Okay, so those are the vocals. The seemingly random Verispeed percentage, by the way, it was supposed to be, I calculated how much to bring things down 1 or 2 semitones, but this is neither of them, so ignore my math here, clearly. I don't remember how I arrived at this number. It was just me randomly tweaking things. Me randomly tweaking, full stop. Okay, and then here we go. So this was actually the first guitar part that I ever recorded. Instead of playing it for you, I think I'll actually hook up my guitar and play it live. Give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. So I have my beautiful Squier Stratocaster guitar, which I got for ultra cheap, and I recorded the guitars, as I mentioned, half step down, which is something. So let me make sure the capo's in the right place here, but I'm also on input monitoring here. Or so you can't hear. Oh, there we go. Yes, perfect. That's the wrong capo position. So I would have recorded it like this. Sorry, I didn't tune this guitar very well, evidently, but I can play a little bit. There we go. Okay. Evidently something is happening on stream, which is not supposed to be happening, but it sounds fine to me, so I think this might have been OBS, my bad. Well, I'll unplug my guitar now, and you guys will not have to suffer through that anymore. My bad. Anyway, so the tuning for that is E, A, D, A, B, E, from lowest to highest. Very useful tuning, which allows me to play a lot of songs that I wrote because it's sort of like a folk E tuning, so if you just strum an open chord, it kind of sounds like a real chord. Oh, it was only for a second when I was plugging in. Okay, life is good. But yeah, so that was that. I practiced that a lot and then I recorded it. Is there anything else to note here? Oh, so okay, so here we got the synths. I really popped off on this MIDI for no reason. You probably can't hear it in the full mix, but let's take a listen to this because I went for it. Okay, so why was I doing all that? Unclear. But I wanted to do it, I guess. This must have been inspired by some song I heard, but I don't remember what it was. So maybe I had an original thought for once. But let's take a look at these patches. This is 2 random basic wavetables, sine and something, something sort of pulse width modulation E. It's being sent through a low pass filter, and then it's got distortion and reverb, so nothing too crazy. The second one is, oh wait, is that what we were just looking at? Yeah. Oh, maybe they're basically the same, but just with like some random parameter that I tweaked. They actually sound pretty different, so that's surprising to me. Well, I did something. Clearly, I'm not perceptive enough to just scroll through my parameters, but you know, you can rewatch the VOD and see what was different because I just looked at everything. So something's different. Yeah. And then I have this emphasis saw, which hits the killing me. That's just a distorted super saw, so nothing really to talk about there. Then we've got our bass, our drums, more Umar samples because, of course, in fact, we can just listen to without all the extra stuff. Yep, hit that clap. Oh yeah, I'm throwing it back. Oh yeah, I forgot. So yes, I have that Undertale sample in there. It's on the words heartbreak, so you know it's pretty topical. Couldn't resist. And I think that is pretty much it for this section. Wow, I talked a lot about that. Okay, any questions? Let's look at chat again. Sorry. It's people talking about the guitar getting cooked. Oh, does it have ground noise? If yes, how do you get rid of it? I have the instrument outline plugged into a Motu M2 interface, which is commonly recommended for beginners, which in this case I am because I don't really have any experience using XLR microphones or physical instruments like guitar, electric bass that you plug into an interface. And then I have that interface just going directly into my PC. So nothing crazy, but that's how I mean, there's no ground noise once you get it set up. So that is how that works. And any particular reason you skipped the third chorus? Thought there might be a return to the chorus after the Gatsby part. I don't know. I think I wanted the song to be short, and I didn't really have anything else to contribute with the ideas that I had. It's already doing a lot, and it's very frenetic. So I didn't really feel any reason. Like, I didn't really think of the Gatsby as an interlude. It was more like a sort of reflection on the content of the song from a different perspective. I mean, I don't know if that really answers this question, but just that's basically how I always conceived of the song. So if anything, the outro was a lot longer than I expected it to be. This actually may be a potentially good moment to just take a look at the lyrics quickly. There's a lot of lines I really love in this song. I think these are probably my favorite lyrics that I've written. The first verse is fine, but nothing so remarkable. I'm not of Bane, not of Caps. That was just a lot of rhyming. I was proud of how that turned out. It took a while for me to settle on the line after I don't have time for the slow burn. Can't we just skip to the part where you leave? Because I came up with that pretty much right away. But picking up signs because I don't learn was accurate to the content that I was trying to convey, but also it super rhymes because, well, kind of, signs and time, and then slow burn and don't learn. So I was super proud of that. You know, I locked in. And then, yeah, the rest is also pretty self-explanatory, I think. I don't have, again, you know, I don't have time, therefore I wish you were killing me faster, is sort of the spark notes of this chorus. And also all of these voice lines you hear, Gatsby believed in the green light, that's Tobey Maguire in the role of Nick Carraway, sample from the Great Gatsby movie 2013. And I couldn't care less about the parties is, of course, Gatsby talking about the elaborate parties that he's throwing for Daisy. Leo DiCaprio in the same movie. how did I find all these Calmoji? I googled Calmoji and I clicked on a website with a lot of them, and then I pasted them into my lyrics because it made me happy. So that's why I did that. Okay, if there are no further questions, I will move on to the next section, which is the second verse. So there is stuff to talk about here, but it will be less than the first time. Sorry, I feel like this is really dragging. It's just me yapping. I'm not really like playing stuff. But whatever. All right, let's take a look.
I couldn't care less about art.
When you laugh, it's like a headshot. Mom, get the camera.
This might be my favorite moment in the song. When I thought of this, I was out on like a walk or something, and I was like, that is such a funny idea that I have to do it. And you know, this whole song is sort of like kind of retro, like internet retro in like 2010s. I guess that's not like retro, but or like early memes. I should have had like 9cat or something. Yeah, so I knew I wanted to do something like this, and so the sound effects that you hear, of course, you have Mom Get the Camera, which is good, and you also have the MLG air horn, which is also good. But then on top of that, I don't even remember, but do you guys know the like Vine or whatever it is that's like the guy says like it's this guy and he says a super lame roast. It's like a guy with glasses and he says a super lame roast, and then the whole crowd around him goes freaking crazy, and then he like puts his face in his hand, or no, a guy runs in front of the camera and puts his face in his hands. Yeah, it's like that's the wrong number. Thank you. Yeah, clearly I'm a fake fan of this video, but of course I've seen it a million times because I'm on the internet. So this is the audio from that. This is this. So that made me happy. Yeah, it's the GIF. That's exactly right. Those are the sound effects there. I just had to share that. All right, let's keep listening.
Get the camera. Dig my own grave. Get the bedrock.
Oh yeah, so dig my own grave, hit the bedrock. I was like, what has bedrock in it? Minecraft, obviously. So even though I've only played like 2 seconds of Minecraft, I had to put some Minecraft sound effects in here. So here they are. There you go. And then that's you digging straight down and dying, I guess. Yeah. So put that in there.
My own grave. Get the bedrock. It's on my shoulder, and I'm out cold. I'm a hashtag easy target. Need some distance beneath the South Pole.
Think about me.
Okay, this one's actually sort of funny. Okay, so first of all, bump my shoulder and I'm out cold. We have this punch sound effect into a boxing bell, which is pretty self-explanatory. You know, I'm out cold. And then we have 2 of my favorite things basically within like 0.05 seconds of each other, which is this little melody. Oh yeah, the saw's kind of cool here. Also, we can look at this. So we've got this saw that's sort of doing the equivalent of like a guitar playing muted notes. So that's handy. But then we also have this other guitar that's kind of doing an interplay with, or excuse me, another saw patch that's sort of doing interplay with the guitars. Which sounds like this. And it's that melody right there, which I really love. Which I think is actually quite similar to the Clouds Give Way melody. So of course I have to put that in everything, but I just like the sound of it. I double it in these sign leads here. Oh, and this one's doing something a bit different because I'm a crazy person, apparently. Yeah, so it's a harmony part. Kind of makes more sense when you hear them together. But that's fun. Again, we have the sustained lead element, which I told you guys need to start adding to everything. Helps glue everything together. You notice when it's not there, trust me. And then we have my 1 million vocal lines, because I'm a hashtag easy target is like one of my favorite lines in the song. I don't know, it just makes me laugh a lot. but I really wanted to do a bunch of stuff there for no apparent reason. Or not no apparent reason. I wanted to emphasize the line. So of course, for the vocals themselves, we have.
I'm a hashtag easy target.
By the way, I'm totally gonna expose like these are the worst time tuned, also performed vocals ever, but you know they do the job, so it's fine. Then we also have this harmony line, which is playing throughout the verse.
Hashtag easy target.
Which is just artificial tuning, so I did not re-record that. But I did re-record all of the items in this group, which are as follows.
Hashtag easy target.
And then
Hashtag easy target. Hashtag easy target.
I kind of just like went on vibes, like I sang whatever came to mind and then hope they fit together.
I'm a hashtag easy target. I'm a hashtag easy target.
Right, which is all great. And then if you play them all together, it sounds like this,
I'm a hashtag easy target.
which is kind of crazy. And then you add in the harms and the lead vocals and you get this,
I'm a hashtag easy target. Need some distance.
which I think is nice. And then you play everything together. It's crazy.
And I'm out cold. I'm a hashtag easy target. Need some distance. Beneath the South Pole.
Think about me.
Okay, there we go. And then we can move into this next section, which is extremely self-explanatory. It's basically just this one line that I recorded that I processed to make myself sound weird with autotune. And then like I filtered the drop that comes after. So it's pretty lazy, but you know, it gets the job done. So that Tomorrow We Will Learn Faster is also, that's the ending monologue from The Great Gatsby, again performed by Tobey Maguire in the 2013 film. And we'll get into that drop sound design in a second. But first of all, is there any questions? We're talking about Super Hot Fire, which is good, that's important. Or Great Gatsby. Minecraft, panning on the voices. Oh, hi Valley, I'm glad you liked it, thank you. Will the stream be archived? Probably. I might unarchive it at some point in the future, or at least unlist it, but not like right afterwards, so you can revisit it for a little bit. What are you using for the bit crush at the very end of the line? Great question. That is the assuming that you were talking about the thing about me is that is just Killheart's Bit Crusher, I think, is free. Here it is, and it sounds like this.
The thing about me is.
So that's that. If you take famous samples and build around them, how do you release the song commercially, or do you just not? I'm gonna go on to the next question. Because oh my god, you've been listening to me since you were in middle school. I was in middle school when I started, so that's scary. But thank you for listening. Was it hard becoming British? Yes, I've never recovered. Okay, let's listen to the drop. Here we go.
Tomorrow we will run.
All right, perfect. So let's just take a look at these items in order. We have these vocals, which were already used in the previous like fake chorus. And then we have, okay, first of all, we have this massive patch, which is also a saw square combo with noise. I guess this must be some sort of variation on the flat sine preset. And then I have an EQ, Okay, it's like the flat sign, but then I run it through the guitar processing, because when I tried playing guitar here, it didn't sound good, but I wanted the amp distortion from the guitar, so I made a synth patch and then ran it through the guitar settings. And this is the result. So it sounds like this. Okay, sorry, I see a couple of questions, so I'm going to interrupt myself actually to answer these. Also, was the inspiration / push to do a Gatsby themed song? I saw a lot of funny tweets about it over the course of my life, and I also experienced some life events. Let's see. There's the lead. That's true. We'll get to that in a second. Did you find yourself doing a lot of funky mixing or automation overall, or did you feel it was relatively straightforward? I tried to avoid doing any crazy automation in this song. I have some effects coming in and out and some filters going, obviously, like the low pass filter moving up in the build up, but for the most part, there is not a crazy amount of weird mixing stuff. I would say, if anything, the main thing that I did is that there's just like stereo effects on everything, because one of the big things that I noticed in a lot of the music I was listening to it is that like a lot of it has like either very short delay or reverb that makes everything sound super wide, or it has a Haas effect on it. So I did that. I think that it's not characteristic of all hyperpop, but a lot of the stuff that I like, especially some of the sort of classic like Sophie sounds. I don't know actually what Sophie did to achieve the sounds in those tracks specifically, but you can get a similar effect by either using Haas or reverb or short delay. Yeah, so that's that sound. That is a very cool sounding fake guitar. Thank you. Now we have the cool thing about this. Oh my god, stop that. Okay, there we go. The cool thing about this drop to me is that I'm usually the type to have a lot of layers, and it's true that there are many layers in the song overall, obviously, but there's actually not that much going on in this drop, but it sounds really full. So like all the instruments are doing their job, which I was very happy about. In particular, this lead is so crucial. It sounds really obvious when it's gone. Like, here, let me mute it.
Tomorrow we will run faster.
So it makes a huge difference. Let's take a look at it. It's not complicated, but the one thing that I will note about the sound, which I found really useful, is that it's a kind of a saw. It's technically not a saw, but it sounds like a saw. Being FM'd through the noise oscillator, which makes it sound really like grungy in an awesome way. This was just like random experimenting. This wasn't inspired by anything. I was just like, what would this sound like? I mean, this isn't like a revolutionary technique. Obviously, FM is very popular in many music spaces right now, and I'm not the first person to have this discovery, but it was not inspired by anything in particular. I was just messing around. And then we have reverb and delay, and that is pretty much the sound. So it's, again, oh yeah, there's that that LFO that is modulating the pitch and maybe gain as well. Yeah. And that gives like a 4 on the floor side chain, but then the drums are doing halftime and the chords are doing sort of like dotted eighth, like dun 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 dun, like that. Or that doesn't make sense if I don't have a polyrhythm. It's like dun 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 dun, like that. Which we'll look at now. All right, here's the pluck. All right, cool. What's in it though? So it's a saw, again some white noise, being run through a low pass filter. The important part, I mean, the phaser does make a big difference to the sound. The delay is a super short delay. Oh, this was the short delay I was talking about. Okay, we can actually let's do this here. Let's do this properly. Oh, stop it. Okay, there we go. So if I turn off all the effects, it sounds like this. I'm gonna loop it, and then I'll turn them on one by one. You can see what they do. So that's that. The comb and the comb filter and the delay really give it sort of a metallic sound, which is very useful. So that's all well and good. We have that same ARP which we looked at before, which has that weird glitch. I don't know why it does that. Then we have this again super saw. This is very hyperpop to me. I think I might have taken this idea or this general sound from a Gabby Start track. I think it's Fractal song. Great song. But I mean, you know, Gabby Start did not invent super saws. Or I don't know. I don't know that for sure. We also got this sub. Just kind of like an 808, but then like I gave up halfway through. It's got some LFOs doing some stuff. I don't know. I think this is like a pretty self-explanatory sound. I hate doing that, like, oh, well, I'll leave this as an exercise to the reader, but I don't want to spend any time on something that is like not really going to be that productive to the average listener. It's basically just a sine with white noise and you distort it. This is like the OG like Virtual Riot sub. Like anyone who grew up like learning how to make dubstep or whatever from Virtual Riot tutorials like myself probably came across this Virtual Riot tutorial about making a sub bass for a dubstep, which is you have a saw and then you add some noise in and distort it to get some harmonics. But in this case, I also have a saw in there because I don't know what I was thinking, and then I have this this low pass filter, and that's all you need. It's funny, it sounds future bass without the lead, but the lead pushes it to hyperpop. Yeah, that's honestly true. I mean, I do think that like the sound design itself to me does give hyperpop overall, like in terms of the actual sound choices, especially with like the super like metallic and wide pluck and the like specific drum samples that are used. But like in terms of like the way that they're used, it is totally super future bass-y. So I totally agree with that. And yeah, everyone talking about the polyrhythm, which is lit, because I'm the best. Okay, and then we also have it layered with the electric bass, which is it just sounds empty without it, so I put it in. That's fine. Then we have all right, stop that. We have pretty standard, I would say, drum pattern here, like halftime drum pattern. Oh, we can look at, oh yeah, there's on the fourth beat, there's that weird snare. Okay, we should probably look at that. I'll get to that in a second. I sort of did a arbitrary mix of like sample, like audio tracks for drums and then a sampler for drums. But here's what's in the sampler. Here are the samples. Crest mentioned. And I don't think there's anything else specific to note there in terms of the drums. But oh, stop that. I hate that. That's so annoying. Let's listen with the sidechain muted just so we can appreciate the extra snare, because you can't really hear it in the full mix. So just a lot of layers here. Yeah, there's like a laser and some other random samples. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I use battery. It's weird. I'm a weirdo. I'm a freak. I don't belong here. Stop it! Okay. that's the end of the drop explanation. Are there any further questions? I feel like I'm teaching a class. This is very whimsical. Hello. Okay, I'm gonna move on, but if any questions populate, then I will answer them. Then we go back into the real chorus, which we'll just listen to it a bit, and then we can go back.
I don't have time for the slow burn. Can't we just skip to the power you leave? I'm picking up signs 'cause I don't learn. It's killing me. It's killing me. I don't have time for the heartbreak. I already know that I'm ending up lost. So can't we get it over with? I'm telling you my only wish that you were killing me faster.
Okay, so this is pretty similar to the first time this happens. This pluck is new, and it's the only time it's used in the song, so that was random that I chose to make it. Let's take a look at it. It's basically the same as the others, but it has this comb filter on it, which I think is doing most of the work, low-key. Let's turn it off and see. Oh, yeah. Comb filter OP. You should put it on everything. And then, actually, the MIDI for the plucks does change here because I'm crazy, but you can't really tell. I mean, the average listener is not going to be able to tell. It's similar, of course. Some stuff is moved around. Okay, whatever. We don't need to listen to that whole thing. And then we have some extra stuff going on with the vocals. So, of course, we still have British, which is our favorite.
I'm picking up signs 'cause I don't learn. It's killing me. It's killing me.
But then we also have these extra guys, these auto-tuned guys. These are my guys. This is also totally inspired by Immaterial by Sophie. In the last time that the like chorus repeats, there's like a center pan, not like an unpanned center vocal auto-tuned that is doing like a counter melody against the main like chant. So I have no original thoughts. I wanted to do it too, so I did. But I guess I did it in a slightly different way. But here's what it sounds like.
I'm picking up signs 'cause I don't learn. It's killing me. It's killing me. I don't have time for the heartbreak. I already know that I'm ending up lost. So can't we get it over with? I'm telling you my only wish that you were killing me.
All right, there we go. So that, and then in context, we can just listen to maybe just the vocal. That sound. If I solo you guys.
I'm picking up signs 'cause I don't learn. It's killing me. It's killing me. I don't have time for the heartbreak. I already know that
Okay, that's good enough. You get it. So that was fun. That was one of my last editions, so it was interesting to do. I also switched up the Undertale sound effect, although it's almost the same. But instead of the heartbreaking, it's it's like the attack sound, and then the monster dying, or not dying, like taking damage at fatal damage. That kind of sucks. It's like someone getting stabbed. It's like me getting stabbed. It's like I got stabbed. I got stabbed. Okay, questions. Can I go to the bathroom? No. Will this be on the exam? Yes. How do you build your transitions such that they sound natural and well prepared? Did you build it with a strategy? To me, I feel like I'm kind of just adding things to make sure I have enough going on that you can't really tell. But I would say that it is always a good principle to have stuff from each section bleed a little bit into the next or previous section, depending on which side you're talking about. So the drop pluck is sort of a good example of this. We can take a look here. You can see that it actually, like, it has sort of a melody leading into the next section, and then it plays on the downbeat. And so that sort of helps bridge the gap at least a little bit. And then on the other side, the vocals, for example, I do like, here it is. Wait, I'll play.
I don't have time for the slow burn.
So that sort of helps like build cohesion between the sections. But other than that, you just spam sound effects. I mean, it's not that complicated. It's just samples. It's killing me. Yes, true. How do you figure out where to put your random sound blurbs? what do you mean by that? Like my samples? Usually they are meant to punctuate certain gaps in the composition, so I put them in afterwards instead of before. Or they relate to the lyrics. So like the Undertale sound effects, for example, I don't have time for the heartbreak, and then there's like a sound of someone taking damage, and so it's like that. Hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, please follow up in the chat. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to add. I've pretty much talked about everything else in this section. We can take a look at some of the percussion in more detail if we want. Here's the Umru clap that I spam. Here's some kicks, I think. Yeah. Oh, there's a stomp. That's useful. Got this Vengeance sample. Here's another one. We got these clap samples that I made, but I think they're from a contact library. I don't know why I said that in a Texas accent. They're from a contact library, but I think I processed them somehow, and that's why I rendered them out. And then I cut them off when it's supposed to, because of like how the chords cut off in the guitar. Okay. I think that's it for this section. Let's move into the outro. Give it a listen.
Did Gatsby wish he was above it while chasing another man's wife? Or did the green of the daisy he coveted paint over everything else in his life? If desire's a sin, then I'll hold back, or else meet the Buchanans in hell.
Okay. Let's see here. What do I want to mention? So the underwater ambience, this is, believe it or not, also a great Gatsby reference. Also the gunshot. The idea is that you get shot and fall in the pool like Gatsby did. That's what happens there. We'll talk about the strings in a second. In terms of the content, like there's this sort of like extra like further allusion to like certain aspects of the situation that the speaker is describing, which were not really fully elucidated in the previous section, which I sort of liked bringing it in here, although it's not exactly said outright. Again, I don't want to talk about it too much, just because I feel like it's more fun to, I mean, it's not like I'm being so subtle, but like, you know, it's fun to exercise your critical thinking skills. So I'll leave that one as an exercise to the reader for a real reason. Yeah, I wanted this whole section to feel very dreamy and like honestly pretty disconnected from the previous section, except that it's in the same key, because that's sort of what I like about that the outro from Mr. Blue Sky, which I talked about previously. So we have the lyrics here. You can see them on screen. I'm not sure. I mean, this is just stuff from The Great Gatsby, more or less. So, you know, credit to F. Scott Fitzgerald for that one. For the vocals, I had to, I mean, I'm not a great singer, so, you know, this is as good as I could get it, but this took so long because I had to record so many takes to get something even remotely passable, and then I had to tune it. But eventually I got there, so it was fine.
Did Gatsby wish he was above it?
Whatever, it sounds fine. I mean, it is a section that suits my voice, so of course that helps somewhat. And then, the way I composed this was I originally sketched it out in a much less rubato way on this electric piano, which we can listen to. Oh, that melody changed. Yeah, you get it. And then I took that and I put it into this string sketch MIDI with like a low impact string library, just so I could work out the voice leading for myself, which sounds like this. Sounds terrible, but you know, it works, does the job. I think this is, well, this is actually Spitfire, but I didn't do anything to help make it sound good, so it sounds bad. Yeah, it's Albion. I don't really know how, like, I don't know how useful it would be to explain the composition, because to me this is like pretty standard. But if there's any, you know, I did work on the voice leading and stuff, so if anyone has any questions about that type of thing, do let me know. I guess composition is really my expertise more so than production. Yeah, and then once I'd done that, I put a million Bohemian Violin patches, which is a UVI library that I got when it launched basically in 2017. Holy moly. And it has changed a lot since then. It used to be pretty much unusable, so I almost never used it, but it's actually good now. Here it is. And then I just took each line from the sketch, and then I put them in one by one. So, you know, it's like this. Oh, that's right. So there is a Bohemian cello, but I don't own it. So what I did was I recorded it an octave up and then pitched it down. That was my genius strategy. So it honestly sounds fine to me. But that's a violin, so, you know, it is what it is. And I did also layer it with this actual bass patch, which I believe is Synth samples? Something like that. Yes, bass is true legato from Sinistrings Core, which I got when Cinesamples still offered a 50% educational discount as a student. They don't have that anymore, so if you're finding out about this now, too bad. You should have figured it out earlier, like me. And then I also have the piano, which I kind of just vibe played. I didn't think about it too hard. This was me playing live, I believe. It has like a delay and reverb that sort of sounds underwater. Yeah. Let's see if there are any questions so far. Gunshot symbolism. True. Oh, what piano and strings did I use? Well, I already explained the strings. I forgot. The piano is Keyscape. I love Keyscape. I use it for everything nowadays. I know some people have very strong opinions about how Keyscape doesn't sound that good, but I agree there are some things it can't do, but I think it can. It does a lot of the stuff that I want it to do, so I use it. Very good. I recommend it. It's awesome. If you like any of the piano in Artemis, that song would not exist without Keyscape, so highly recommend. Yeah. Okay. The chords are good, thanks, I know. What would you do to make it sound better? Oh, okay, so hypothetically, if I were using this cheaper sound source for the strings, I would be adjusting the legato, or adjusting the note placement so that the note transition happens at the right time. I would be connecting these non-contiguous notes or non-continuous notes. They are contiguous, and I would be using the mod wheel, or either like a physical mod wheel, or I would click in the MIDI data by hand on this chart, is here, like this, and that makes it louder and softer. We can even listen to it. Who cares about this track? Oh, oops. Sorry, hang on. Okay, I wouldn't do it like that because it makes no sense with the song, but like that's how you would change expressive quality of that instrument. So that's how I would do it. It is possible. I did it for many years, but now I can afford better instruments, so I do. And then we get to the final part of the outro, which is this sort of mantra of what can you control if not yourself. This is also pretty early invention of mine. I really wanted something repetitive during the outro that sort of eventually faded out. It's sort of like dreamlike quality. And then the ominous crescendo of like the white noise and the ears ringing like high synth, and the monologue getting closer and closer is sort of like you're waking up or something's coming for you or something. And I really like the phrase, what can you control if not yourself? It really rolls off the tongue for me, and I think it perfectly explains sort of, or it perfectly captures like the main vibe of this section, which is like you really want something but you know it's not right, and so you're sort of, even though you're lamenting that fact, you're like, oh, like if you can't even control your own actions, what else can you hope to do in life? So like it's that sort of vibe, I guess. Yeah. No express. Oh, I see. Sorry, to answer the question in chat. No expression and mod on the strings I used. Actually, no. Bohemian Violin is very weird in that sense, where you kind of don't need to do anything; it just kind of does it for you. However, I did have some volume automation on the string bus at the beginning to ease things in. But the thing about Bohemian Violin is that it is I don't want to put words in the developers' mouths. It's AI driven, but not in the like ominous AI meaning that we have come to know and love on the internet in current day. It takes your performance and then decides for you like what would probably sound best based on what you have, and you don't have a lot of control over it. So if it does what you want, then it's awesome. But if you want to do something specific and it's not working out for you, you probably shouldn't be using it. That is how that worked. So yes, this is actually sort of a cheat code. This is like one of the first times I've ever used Bohemian Violins. It's super useful, but only for doing something very like very slow and expressive like this. It's very dramatic. Ending feels very ominous. Good. It should. Would you ever do a stream reviewing viewers' songs? Maybe if I stream more. I don't have any plans to, but I could. Nothing's stopping me. Is Bohemian Violin the library used for most of your strings now? I don't know. This is the most recent song I've made, and I've not made anything after this, so it's kind of hard to say whether this will make a permanent appearance in my work. Honestly, not to spoil anything, but I think it's likely if I do anything with strings in the near future for my personal work, they will likely be live recorded strings. But typically, if I'm working on strings for a project, I will use Cinesamples strings, which I mentioned I got on educational discount when I was a student. So that is what I use. I use Cinesamples, core library, and the solo strings. Those two. I also use the brass for what it's worth. I use pretty much all Cinesamples. It's good. It works for me. The workflow is very different. This is also not an endorsement of Cinesamples. I'm not affiliated with the brand. It's just what I happened to get when I was a kid. Now I have it. Big Meal Love, thank you. I'm glad you are enjoying. Will the VOD be up to analyze frame by frame? Yes, but maybe not indefinitely. So don't procrastinate on that. Okay, let's keep going. So we have this sort of increasing mantra that sort of builds up to this final climax. We can take a listen to this.
Roll, what can you control? If not yourself, what can you control?
I didn't want to tune my vocals at the beginning here too much because it's more expressive if it's not precisely tuned, and it's supposed to sound emotional.
Yourself, what can you control? If not yourself, what can you control?
Gatsby believed in the green light, the orgastic future that year by year recedes before us. It eluded us then, but that's no matter. Tomorrow we will run faster, stretch out our arms farther, and one fine morning.
Yeah. So here we have that full outro, which is, again, this is Nick Carraway talking. He says, you can see the text here, but Gatsby believed in green light, the orgastic future that year by year sees before us. It eluded us then, but that's no matter. I think his delivery here is really bad, by the way. It totally does not capture the punctuation of the original text, which pisses me off. But that's no matter. Tomorrow we will run faster, stretch out our arms farther, and one fine morning. And so we beat on, bows against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past, is how that passage ends. And then the book ends. But we don't even get there. You wake up before you hit the moral of the story, because the idea is that you're delusional in this moment. So you don't get the you are not privy to the fact that you never get there. You know what I mean? And then we can maybe listen to the strings here really quickly, just for good measure. Yeah, we have lots of strings going, the basses kick in, and then it goes even lower, and then that's like a boom, like bass drop. But you can't really hear it, but it's a bass drop to me, and then you have the high strings come in at the end, when you have that sort of retardando. Start playing that sort of dissonant, like, it's sort of an early resolution here, because that is so that would be the 6. I don't know why that took me so long to figure out. I'm getting rusty. See, a minor chord with the 13 or 6, whatever you want to call that. And then, but it also has the major 7 as well in there. So 6/7 chord, major minor 6/7, 6/7, 6/7. I'm doing the gesture in real life. Okay, and then I have this piano here. Yeah, that's just me freaking out, I guess, on the piano. Sounds like my ending's cut off. I'm gonna kill you. I'll kill you in real life. And I think that is pretty much it for this song. We got there. Yeah, so thanks for coming. As you can see, I really put a lot of work and effort into this song. It's like, from a compositional standpoint, I mean, I like it. Like, I find it catchy personally, which was my intention. Or yeah, whatever. I mean, all you can do is try to make something that's catchy to yourself. You can never guarantee that it'll be catchy to other people. But I'm not really used to working with a lot of samples / like hyperpop, sound design. So this was recording guitar and singing, all that stuff. So I had to do a lot of stuff that I didn't usually do. There's also just a lot going on. The sort of lyrics and symbolic content had to be consistent throughout the song, and the overall aesthetic. So I was just very proud of it, and I wanted to share it with everyone. So thank you so much for coming and listening to me talk about it. I'll stick around for a couple more minutes just in case anyone has any final questions about either the song or anything else related to me or unrelated to me that you think I could answer. Although, pick your questions carefully, because if I think it's stupid, I'll just ignore you. And I'll pretty much just keep answering these until they run out, and then I'll end stream. How do you create your chord progressions? Do you map it out, or do you go by ear? That is a good question. It really depends. Sometimes if I get stuck, or if I have a specific reason, which I'll get to in a second, I will be like, okay, this chord should go here intellectually. I believe that, like, from a theory perspective, I should have this chord here. But then, I mean, a lot of music is intuition. Like, that's sort of what determines, like, if it wasn't, then, a computer could write music as well as a human, like, easily. Which unfortunately we're getting closer and closer to every day, which is really alarming. But, I believe that they will never be able to get the human touch, even if they can sometimes potentially temporarily fool us. But that said, so for example, I really wanted this section to start on a chord that we hadn't heard before. So the 5 of 6 is what you get, 5 of 6 in first inversion. And thought that would be. Can I play this? No? It should be plugged in. Hang on. 1 second. System. No, any. Yeah. Thing. Hate me. That's weird. Okay, well, whatever. We can take a look at the MIDI. Oh. Oh, it's because I have no output. What am I doing? Oh, no, it isn't? Okay, whatever. So this is the 5-6 in first inversion, which is a new chord. We haven't really encountered any sort of secondary dominance in this track at all, because it's a very classical sound, and you know that's sort of the feeling of this section. And then the way it sort of leads down with this tritone sub / Blackadder chord. No, that's not a Blackadder chord. This is just a tritone sub. Actually, oh. That would be a Blackadder chord. Wow, I actually resisted the urge. That's crazy to me. Sorry, I'm just realizing that I didn't use that chord for once. Good for me. But anyway, that was more intuition. It's just like a sound I've heard a lot, so I'm able to produce it from my head. But I have some peers for sure who can just like think of crazy chord progressions that I can't, which either they just got it like that and I don't, or they listen to different music than me, and so that puts like different sounds in their head. But I feel like the type of chords that come naturally to you, like intuitively to you, I should say, are in part like, I mean, part of it is just like a skill issue / like if you have a natural predisposition to like be able to internalize those types of things quickly, or if you're like a genius who can hear them like without ever having heard them before. But typically it's just sort of a mental library of the sounds that you've heard in your life, and the more varied music you listen to, the more sounds will be available to you in that library. But you need to hear it a bunch of times before it becomes part of your library. You can't just hear it once and then be like, okay, I got that one. So it does require a lot of listening. I still have a long way to go. I tend to use a lot of the same chords in my music. But this is one that I really like, and you can hear me use it all the time. And then this is a pretty standard, whatever, 3-6, 2, but it's not 2-5-1, it's a walk up, so it goes 2, and then 1 first inversion, 1-6, 6-7. It's not 6-7, it's 1-6, and then 4, and this is rootless minor 4, and then wait, is it rootless? Yeah, it actually, wait, yeah, it is rootless. Unreal. So that's like chord progression. Sorry, I'm totally going on a tangent. So like sometimes if I'm like, oh, I need to get to this chord, but I don't know what should go in the section between what I've already written and here, sometimes they'll be like, okay, typically the chord progression that's used here is like a 3-6-2-5-1, or you know, it's a chromatic descent or a backdoor progression, like 4-flat-7-1 or whatever your favorite is. I don't really use 4-flat-7-1 very much, but people use it all the time. Sort of like a thing, I guess. But in situations like that, sometimes you can like theory your way out of like pinches. But it didn't really apply in the song because a lot of it was just intuition. Yeah. So I think that would be my answer for that. Okay. Oh my God. Sorry, I took so long to answer that question. I have to go further. Everyone's thanking me. Thank you for coming. It makes me feel important, so it's awesome. Any recommendations for other artists? Too many to name, but in terms of the people who might have inspired this particular song, I definitely recommend, again, I said this at the beginning, but I'll say it again because they were big inspirations to me and always have been. Tsubi Club, particularly the remixes of Burbank House and Laced Up, which are really good. Gabby Start, especially the Fractal song, and also Ogden, which is a longtime inspiration of mine. But Gabby Start has a lot of really good music. And then we have Sophie, in particular Immaterial, although I listened to some other like classic, you know, Face Shopping and Pony Boy when I was working on some of the sound design for this song. And then also Underscore's continually inspiration to me. Definitely listen to Spoiled Little Brat. Definitely listen to Old Money Bitch. Classic piece of music. Oh, maybe even Music, the recent single, could have maybe been a subconscious inspiration for the like build up into the drop, because she kind of does something similar, but I don't think that was like a conscious thing. And then for the outro, I would definitely recommend Electric Light Orchestra, Mr. Blue Sky. Also, they have other good songs. Turn to Stone is a great one. And Lewis Cole also has some sort of jazzy string stuff that does not resemble this. I really like, what's it called? Silent Laughter? Is that what it's called? Am I mixing that up with Laughing in Her Sleep? It's whatever the Silent something. I think it's Silent Laughter from Quality Over Opinion, which is not his most recent album, but the one before that. Yes. Could you leave the VOD up? Yes, I'll leave the VOD up. I don't know for how long though, but it will be up for a little while, so you can rewatch it at your leisure. Even if I take it down, it will probably be unlisted, not privated. So if you save the link somewhere, you can still watch it. But yeah. Not a question, but warning that I will be viciously analyzing this breakdown to transcribe to study. I'm very flattered. I don't really consider this. Maybe this is a crazy thing to say, but I don't really think it's a technical feat by any means of composition, but I'm glad you liked it. You know, the voice leading is something that I always like to pay attention to. Also, guys, if you're in chat and you don't know who TU is, that's my freaking goat. Such a good composer and can hear all types of chords that I cannot hear. So I will steal them. So look out. Related to the chord question, do you typically write top line first horizontally, or do you wait until you have the chords down? That really depends. I think I will often write chords first, or just work on the arrangement first overall, if I am on a time crunch. But my strongest work, I think, is typically when they are formed in tandem, or I have an idea for a top line that just comes to me spontaneously, which I did have the luxury of happening this time. So in this case, I basically had the melodies and chord progression just pop into my head. Because I mean, that's basically all I can say about that. But if you are in a rush, I recommend writing the chord progression first and figuring out the top line later, because one of those weird things about music is just that if you have like an instrumental, there's probably like so many melodies that can go over it that are really good, and it's not always clear like which one is better than another one. So you have options. Yeah. Blackout or Light, true. What kind of music do you listen to? I already kind of answered that one, but beyond what I already said, I listen to a lot of J-rock and J-pop, which might have influenced this. I honestly don't really know. I'm not sure if that really made its way into this. I guess sort of math rocky, like guitar thing might have been like a rock type of thing. But if anything, I'm not really a big like math rock, J-rock type of person. I really like Supercell. I really like No Melon No Lemon, which is Sumiki's band with Marimiki, and other sort of J-pop artists. There are too many to name. Those are my top two. What are the lyrics? There's a cat in the way. Too bad you can't read them. Just kidding. They're on my on the YouTube upload. My goat true. I already said that. Do you ever plan on making more music that don't have lyrics and are more in the style of storytelling, like your older songs? It kind of depends on what you mean by my older songs. If you're talking about like the really old stuff, like the Newgrounds content that I won't even name, the odds are low. Or at least I think the odds are low that I do any of that type of thing for personal work moving forward. However, there's definitely still like soundtrack work in my future, or it seems like there is. So definitely I will continue to write instrumental music for sure, if that's more your preference. I just wrote like over an hour of music, which is mostly instrumental, for a video game called Starlight Revolver, which I think is going to be released like next week. So if you are looking for instrumental music by me, look no further. I'll tweet about it, and there's like plenty you can listen to, and hopefully you'll like it. Yeah. Writing melody and chords at the same time is the best feeling. True. I love J-Rock. True. Holy Tamiki mentioned Truth Nuke. Did you go to school for music? If so, where? Yes. Okay. Well, I, should I answer this? I will say, I guess this is, if you're really determined to find this out, you can, because technically this is like relatively public knowledge now that I have some work under my real name. But in the interest of keeping my personal work and my quote unquote commercial work separate, which is to say the video game soundtrack stuff, I will not comment on that here. But you're welcome to do some research if you really care. I don't. What happened to Legacy? Wow, that's an ancient story. Sure, I can talk about that. It is not in existence anymore. The reason is mostly because that there are not that many Utaite who are still Utaite by name. There's a pretty massive exodus from the Utaite community to the VTuber community, and so many of those people are either involved in the VTuber community or have become VTubers themselves. So that is what happened. Kind of sad because I have at least 2 unreleased Legacy songs that will probably never see the light of day, so that's unlucky. But they live on my hard drive, so too bad for you guys. The first song was banger. Didn't feel like the group disappeared. Well, there is a second song, but yeah. Yeah. Okay. I've answered all the questions. I'll give it another minute or two to see if anything else comes up that you want me to discuss, and if there is not, then I will end stream. Yeah. Honestly, this was the outro of this song was really just an excuse for me to do something like more composition-y or like classical-y, because I have to flex a little bit. I have to show people I know how to compose. Even though probably writing a catchy melody is harder to do than anything that I did in this section, honestly. I think writing catchy music is the hardest thing you can do. Or catchy and good and interesting music, which I don't know if I succeeded at that, but I like to think I did. Where's the second song? Yeah, it's on YouTube. Under the official channel. Okay. It looks like there are no more questions and people are thanking me, so I'm going to take that as my cue to go off stage. Thanks for coming, everyone. Goodbye. Gatsby believed in the green light. And I